The last message she never read. The rain fell softly over New York City, blurring the bright lights into streaks of gold and white. It was the kind of night that made people nostalgic, the kind that made you think about the past whether you wanted to or not. Ethan Carter stood by the window of his small apartment, staring down at the crowded street below. Cars passed by, people rushed under umbrellas, and life moved on like it always did. But for Ethan, time had stopped 2 years ago. His phone rested on the table behind him. The screen lit up briefly, showing an old message thread, one he had never had the courage to delete. Sophia. Even her name still felt heavy in his chest. He closed his eyes. Why tonight? He whispered to himself. Maybe it was the rain, maybe it was the silence. Or maybe it was the simple fact that no matter how far he ran, memories always found their way back. 2 years earlier, Sophia Bennett wasn't supposed to change his life. It started like every other ordinary day. Ethan had been late to his college literature class, rushing through the crowded hallway with coffee in one hand and his backpack half open. And then he crashed into her. Books fell to the floor, coffee spilled, chaos. "I'm so sorry," Ethan said quickly, kneeling to pick up the books. "It's okay," she replied, laughing softly, that laugh. It was light, effortless, the kind that made you want to hear it again. When he looked up, he froze. She had warm brown eyes, slightly messy hair, and a smile that didn't try too hard. She wasn't trying to impress anyone, and maybe that's what made her unforgettable. "You're in Professor Adams' class, right?" she asked. Yeah, I am," Ethan replied, still a little stunned. "Sophia," she said, extending her hand. "Ethan," and just like that, everything began. The beginning of something real. At first, it was just small things, sitting together in class, sharing notes, grabbing coffee after lectures, but slowly those small things turned into something bigger. Late-night conversations, long walks through Central Park, laughing over things that didn't even make sense. Sophia had a way of making everything feel lighter. "You think too much," she told him one evening as they sat on a park bench. "And you don't think enough," he replied. She smiled. "That's why we work." And maybe she was right. Ethan had always been serious, careful, afraid of making mistakes. Sophia, on the other hand, lived in the moment. She didn't overthink, she didn't hesitate, she felt. And somehow she taught Ethan how to feel too. The first time he realized it happened on a cold December night. Snow had just started to fall, covering the city in white. They were walking back from a small cafe, their hands brushing occasionally but never quite holding. Sophia suddenly stopped. "What?" Ethan asked. She looked up at the sky, smiling as snowflakes landed on her face. "I love this," she said. "Snow, moments like this." Ethan watched her carefully, the way her eyes sparkled, the way she closed them just for a second as if she wanted to freeze time. And in that moment he knew, not just that he liked her, not just that he cared about her, but that he was completely, hopelessly in love with her. The confession, it took him 3 weeks to finally say it. 3 weeks of overthinking, 3 weeks of doubt. 3 weeks of asking himself, what if she doesn't feel the same? But one night he couldn't hold it in anymore. They were sitting on the rooftop of her apartment building, the city lights stretching endlessly around them. "Sophia," he said quietly, I think I'm in love with you." Silence. For a moment, Ethan felt his heart drop, but then she smiled. "I was wondering how long it would take you to say that." Ethan blinked. "Wait, what?" "I love you too, Ethan." And just like that, everything felt perfect. The best days of his life, the months that followed, were the happiest Ethan had ever been. They did everything together: movie nights, road trips, late night calls that lasted until sunrise. Sophia wasn't just his girlfriend, she was his best friend, his safe place, his everything. "You promise me something?" she asked one night. "Anything. No matter what happens, don't ever disappear on me." Ethan smiled. "I won't. But life has a strange way of breaking promises. The beginning of the end, it started with something small. It always does. Ethan had been busy with internships and deadlines. Sophia had been dealing with family issues she didn't fully talk about. They still loved each other, but they stopped talking the way they used to. Messages became shorter. Calls became less frequent. Silence slowly replaced laughter. "You've changed," Sophia said one evening. "I haven't," Ethan replied. "You have. You're not here anymore, even when you're sitting right in front of me." "That's not fair," he said, frustration creeping into his voice. "What's not fair is feeling alone when I'm in a relationship." Her words hit harder than he expected, but instead of fixing things, he pulled away. The fight that changed everything, it was the worst argument they had ever had. "You don't understand what I'm going through," Sophia shouted. "Because you won't tell me," Ethan shot back. "I tried. You just weren't listening." Silence filled the room, heavy, suffocating. "Maybe we need a break," she said softly. Ethan froze. "A break, yes. For how long? I don't know." That answer scared him more than anything. The last message 3 days later, Ethan stared at his phone. He had typed the message 100 times, deleted it, typed it again. Finally, he hit send. I'm sorry, I should have listened. Can we talk? He waited. Minutes passed, hours passed, no reply. What he didn't know was that Sophia never saw that message. Back to the present, Ethan opened his eyes, the sound of rain pulling him back to reality. He walked slowly toward the table and picked up his phone. The message was still there, unread. 2 years later, his voice broke slightly. I wish you had read it, but some messages arrived too late. The rain hadn't stopped. Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, his phone still in his hand, staring at that same unread message like it might suddenly change, like somehow after 2 years. It might finally show seen, it never did. He exhaled slowly and locked the screen. Move on, people had told him, you deserve better. Everything happens for a reason, but none of those words ever made sense to him. Because how do you move on when you never got an ending? The day she disappeared, 3 days after their fight, 3 days after she asked for a break, that's when Sophia vanished. At first, Ethan thought she just needed space. He respected that. He didn't call, didn't show up at her place, didn't push. But by the fourth day, something felt wrong. He sent another message. Hey, just checking on you. No reply. He called, her phone was off. A strange feeling settled in his chest. Something was right. By evening, Ethan was standing outside Sophia's apartment building. The same place where they had laughed, argued, dreamed. Now it felt cold. He knocked on her door. No answer, again nothing. A neighbor stepped out into the hallway. Are you looking for Sophia? The older woman asked. Yes, Ethan said quickly. Do you know where she is? The woman hesitated. They came 2 days ago. Ethan frowned. Who? Her family. His stomach tightened. They packed her things and left. Left, Ethan repeated. Where? The woman shook her head. I don't know. It all happened very fast. The silence that followed, Ethan tried everything. He contacted her friends. None of them knew anything. He went to her college. She hadn't shown up. He even tried reaching out to distant relatives, anyone who might have information. Nothing. It was like Sophia Bennett had disappeared from the world. No trace, no explanation, no goodbye. The only thing she left behind. A week later, Ethan returned to her apartment building one last time. He didn't know why, maybe hope, maybe denial. Or maybe he just couldn't accept that she was really gone. As he turned to leave, the same neighbor called out to him. Wait, Ethan stopped. She left something, the woman said, holding out a small box. For you, his heart skipped. For me, she told me if you ever came back, I should give it to you. His hands trembled as he took it. Thank you, he whispered. The box. Ethan didn't open it right away. He couldn't. Not there, not in that hallway filled with memories. He went back home, closed the door behind him, and sat down slowly. The box rested on the table, simple, plain. But it felt heavier than anything he had ever held. He took a deep breath and opened it. Inside, there were only a few things inside: a photograph, a folded letter, and something small wrapped in tissue paper. Ethan picked up the photograph first. It was of them, taken on that snowy night in December. Sophia was laughing, her head tilted back slightly, snowflakes caught in her hair. He remembered that moment. He remembered thinking he had never seen anything more beautiful. His chest tightened. The letter, his hands shook as he unfolded the letter. Sophia's handwriting, messy, slightly slanted, just like he remembered. He began to read. Ethan, if you're reading this, it means I didn't get the chance to say goodbye properly. And I'm so sorry for that. You deserved better than silence. You always did. I don't even know where to start. Maybe with the truth I've been too afraid to tell you. I'm sick, Ethan, and not the kind that goes away. I found out a few months ago, but I didn't tell you because I was scared. Not of dying, but of seeing you break because of me. I didn't want your memories of us to be filled with hospitals and pain. I wanted you to remember the laughter, the late nights, the stupid arguments, the way we used to talk about the future like it was guaranteed. That's why I asked for a break. Not because I stopped loving you, but because I loved you too much to let you go through this with me. Selfish, right? Maybe. But losing you slowly would have hurt more than losing you all at once. I hoped you'd hate me. I thought it would make it easier for you to move on. I guess I underestimated how much we meant to each other. If there's one thing I regret, it's not telling you the truth sooner. And if there's one thing I want you to remember, it's that you were the best thing that ever happened to me. Always. Sophia, the truth hits. Ethan didn't realize he was crying until the letter blurred in his hands. No, he whispered, his voice broke. No, 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 all the anger, all the confusion. All the sleepless nights wondering why she left, it all shattered in an instant. She didn't leave because she stopped loving him. She left because she was dying. The unopened gift. With trembling hands, Ethan reached for the small object wrapped in tissue paper. He carefully unfolded it. Inside was a ring, simple, silver. The kind they had once joked about when talking about their future. Too plain, she had asked back then. Perfect, he had said. And now it sat in his hand, heavy with everything they never got to be. The question that haunted him. Ethan looked back at his phone. At that one message, the one she never read. I'm sorry. I should have listened. Can we talk? His chest tightened painfully. What if, he whispered, what if he had gone to her sooner? What if he hadn't respected the distance? What if he had fought harder? Would it have changed anything? Or would the ending have been the same, just with more pain? Back to the present, the rain finally began to slow. Ethan stood by the window again, the letter still in his hand. For the first time in 2 years, he understood. Not everything, not completely, but enough. She didn't leave me, he said softly. She was protecting me, and somehow that hurt even more. The city felt different that night, quieter, heavier, like it knew something Ethan had just discovered. He stood there for a long time, holding the letter in one hand and the ring in the other. 2 years. 2 years of anger, confusion, heartbreak, all replaced by a truth he never saw coming. She was dying, the words didn't feel real, and yet they explained everything. The one thing he had left to do, Ethan wasn't the same person anymore. For 2 years, he had been stuck in the past. But now he had something he didn't have before, the truth. And with it came one question that wouldn't leave him alone: what really happened to her? The letter didn't say where she went. It didn't say when she know. He couldn't even finish that thought, but he needed to know, not just for closure but for her. The search begins again the next morning. Ethan did something he hadn't done in a long time. He tried again. But this time, he wasn't searching for answers out of pain. He was searching out of love. He started with the hospital records. It wasn't easy. Privacy laws, closed files, endless, we can't share that information. But Ethan didn't give up. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And just when it felt like another dead end, he found something. Her name, a nurse, an old hospital, a single mention, Sophia Bennett. His heart raced. Was she a patient here? He asked, his voice barely steady. The nurse hesitated, looking at him carefully. Who are you? I'm someone who loved her. Silence. Then the nurse softened. She talked about you. Ethan froze. She did, the nurse nodded slowly. Every day. The truth he wasn't ready for. Ethan sat down, his hands clenched tightly together. Please, he said. Tell me everything. The nurse took a deep breath. She was admitted about 2 years ago. Ethan swallowed hard. The condition was serious, late stage. He closed his eyes. She knew, the nurse continued. From the beginning, she knew she didn't have much time. Tears filled his eyes again. But she never complained, she said softly. Not once. Her last days she used to sit by the window, the nurse said. Every morning, every evening. Doing what? Ethan asked quietly. Waiting. His heart broke all over again. For what? The nurse looked at him. For you. Ethan felt like the world had stopped. She was waiting for me. She thought you might come, the nurse said gently. She never said it directly, but it was obvious. His voice cracked. I didn't know, I know, the nurse replied softly. The last message, too late one day, the nurse continued. She seemed different. How? She was smiling. Ethan frowned through his tears. Smiling, she said, he finally texted me. Ethan's breath caught. No, she had her phone in her hand, the nurse said, but she looked weak, very weak. His chest tightened painfully. Did she reply? The nurse shook her head slowly. No, why not? She didn't get the chance. Her final moments, the room felt too small, too heavy. Ethan could barely breathe. She passed away that night, the nurse said gently. Silence, cold, unforgiving silence. Ethan stared at the floor, tears falling freely now. She was holding her phone, the nurse added. And smiling. The place where it ended, the nurse led him outside, to a quiet place behind the hospital, a small garden, peaceful still. There, she said softly. Ethan followed her gaze. A simple bench facing the sky. She liked sitting there when she could walk. He walked toward it slowly, each step heavier than the last. The final goodbye. Ethan sat down on the bench. The same sky Sophia had looked at, the same silence she had felt. He held the ring tightly in his hand. You were waiting for me, he whispered. His voice broke. And I never came. Tears fell uncontrollably now. I thought you left me. I thought you stopped loving me. He laughed weakly through the pain. You were protecting me till the end. The message he never sent. Ethan took out his phone, opened their chat, that same message, still unread. After 2 years, with shaking hands, he typed again. I found you. I'm sorry it took me so long. I love you, Sophia. I always will. He stared at it for a moment, then pressed send. Seen in his own way, the message delivered. Of course it did. But this time, Ethan didn't wait for a reply, because deep down he knew some messages aren't meant to be answered. They're meant to be felt. Moving forward for the first time in 2 years, Ethan stood up without feeling broken. The pain was still there, it would always be there, but it was different now. Softer, warmer. Filled with love instead of regret. He placed the ring gently on the bench, a quiet promise, a silent goodbye, the end, but not really. As he walked away, the sky cleared slightly. A faint light breaking through the clouds. Ethan looked back one last time and smiled through his tears. Goodbye, Sophia. A pause, then softly, thank you.